I like to start with a story. I've learned something from Mustafa Njai. It's always to break the ice with a good story. So I'm learning, my friend, okay? I'll catch up with you before the fourth quarter. In London in 1599, a group of merchants came together to discuss ways to expand their business, promote their trade activities, in which it may please the Lord to prosper. They were interested in trading in sugar, tea, spices, and silk. To enable them to strengthen their business and expand their trading activities, and to ease their doing business, the group approached one of the most powerful women at that time. The woman happened to be Queen Elizabeth I, and the company was East India Company, who received a royal charter on the 31st of December 1600. The company benefited from imperial patronage and soon expanded its commercial activities and trading operations. At the peak of their trading, East India Company was the biggest company in the world. This was achieved because their government, through Queen Elizabeth, made it easy for the merchants to do business. Ladies and gentlemen, this leads me to the question: how do we create a more business-friendly Gambia for Gambian entrepreneurs and merchants? Globally, the World Bank doing business ranking is used as a standard benchmark to measure how well countries are doing to make it easier for businesses to operate. To showcase Gambia and how Gambia has been doing, I will look at our overall rankings compared to our immediate neighbors in ECOWAS over the last 10 years. I know people talk about Mauritius and Rwanda, but I want to choose Gambia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and Mali. Because any of us here can go into a gele-gele, get into a van, jump into a plane, and reach these countries within 10 hours. Rwanda might be a little bit longer, so I like to compare with apples with apples. In this new paradigm shift of countries competing for global FDI in the global village, the ease of doing business should be a top priority for any country that wants to create jobs, develop local content, expand government revenue streams, and attract digital entrepreneurs. Because today, digital entrepreneurs, they don't know barriers. The only barrier they know is hindrance. If you put on hindrance, they'll move. Ladies and gentlemen, the ease of doing business rankings are detailed, although they have a very summarized versions that you can access. For example, in 2019, Gambia was ranked 149 out of 190 countries. This is not too far behind our neighbors, Senegal at 141, Mali at 145, but we are well ahead of Guinea-Bissau at 175. So the Gambia, despite our challenges over the last 2 decades, and despite our size, we are in a strong position to launch ourselves to be competitive in the global market. How we do it, let's talk about it. But before we get into that, and for businesses to take on this challenge, maybe we need to go back, since we are part of the Commonwealth, we need to take out a leaf from the East India Corporation and ask Queen Elizabeth to give us a royal charter. But on a more serious note, from our government, I think government needs to ease the part of businesses, both internally and externally. We have seen all over the world where governments carry their businesses to a global platform and support them locally. And I think it's time for Gambia government to look at it. Not look at what Gambian businesses are doing here, but what Gambian businesses can do beyond our borders. TAF is a great example of that. The World Bank highlights the following key points as areas of reform for any country that wishes to improve your ease of doing business. They include starting a business, dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, which is a challenge in Gambia, registering a property, getting credit, paying taxes, trading across borders, enforcing contracts, resolving insolvencies, and protecting minority investors. I would like you to now listen. I know half of you were asleep for about the first 4 minutes of my conversation, but the statistics are very interesting. So in 2010, Gambia was ranked overall 146 out of 190. So we are at the fourth quarter of the table. In 2019, we ranked overall 149 out of 190. Senegal was ranked 152 below out of 190. And in 2019, they ranked 141. Is my mic off? Oh, sorry. In 2010, Mali was ranked 153, and in 2019 they ranked 175. That is in the overall ranking. In terms of starting a business, this is the interesting dynamics here. In 2010, Gambia was ranked 115 out of 190 countries. In 2019, unfortunately, we ranked at 169 out of 190 countries. Most of us have this psychological belief that Senegal is difficult to do business. In 2010, Senegal was ranked 101 out of 190 countries. In 2019, Senegal is ranked at 64. 64. They are heading towards the fourth quarter, going back to childhood days that Taf mentioned earlier in his speech. And I think these are some of the things that we really need to look at. So now, my next point is, the blueprint already exists, and the World Bank highlight the solutions. So what would it take to make the enabling environment more business friendly? What are the types of reforms that are required so that Gambian actors in the private and public sector can play their roles together, create a reform process that would help ease of doing business in Gambia? We have some very low-hanging fruits. We can revamp the single window business registration system. In Dubai, you promise to get your business renewal within 15 minutes, 5, 10, 15. 15 minutes. You promise a pledge from the Dubai government and run by the Dubai Chamber of Commerce to get your business renewal. Digitalized tax payments. Mr. Chernoge mentioned it. Today, all of us have a smartphone, and Africa has one of the highest penetration of smartphones. But I think to ease doing business, one of the challenges is paying taxes. Why can't we digitalize the payment of taxes? It will be easier for government to collect, it will be easier for the taxpayer to pay, and it would eliminate the middleman. And all of us in this room understand what the middleman consequence means in tax collections. Digitalized government procurement. I think this is something that really can help the government to bring in transparency, good governance, and strengthen local content in national procurement procedures. If they digitalize it, it will allow small, medium-sized businesses to have the opportunity to compete based on a fair, level playing ground. Today, most people do not even understand what government procurement process is, because it's cumbersome, kidnapped and captured by a small group. So to expand it and to get younger businesses involved, I think we need to digitalize it. In terms of access to credit, one of the biggest challenges we face in this country is the consent to mortgage, which requires a ministerial signature. I think these are some of the few low-hanging fruits that we can reform quickly so that the ease of doing business in Gambia would improve. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with the following statement. The core of the Charter, which settles feudal incidences, that is the rules governing the transfer of landed property, reforming administration of justice, standardizing weights and measures, guaranteeing the freedom of trade, the free passage of goods and liberties of cities, towns and ports. This is a quote from the Magna Carta, 1215, some few hundred centuries ago, and they were talking about easing of business. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.